So this is intended as a tutorial to provide a bit of instruction on how to generate KMZ files. KMZ files are Google Earth embedded systems that allow you to indicate on a map locations of particular objects, and it enables you to actually do quite a number of really complicated things. But what we need to do with KMZ files is actually quite simple. So anyway, let's just get started here. When you open up Google Earth, you see this default view, which we're looking at right now. Let's just go over and just kind of pull this, towards British Columbia, and just maybe zoom in a little bit so that we can kind of get to the area that we're interested in. It doesn't really matter, by the way, just how much you zoom in right now, because you're going to have to change the scale that you're looking at probably a few times in order to sort of find locations that you want to put place marks on. So as a note, you should be making 5 separate KMZ files, one for each species that you're responsible for. And within each KMZ file, you will have all of the place marks in the province that indicate where a particular species has been located. So to get started, and this is not complicated at all you have to do is kind of move your cursor over to the left and take a look at My Places. Now right click on My Places and you're going to see the option of adding a folder, and that's what you want to do to start with. So a little box pops up, which is just called Untitled Folder. But probably the best name for this folder would be the species that you're planning on working with. So let's say it was Myrmica incompleta, which is not one that any of you, I believe, have been assigned. So we'll just go type in Myrmica incompleta, click on OK. And now you'll see that this folder has arisen underneath My Places, and it's kind of highlighted as well because it was just created, which means that any place marks that we add right now should be placed within this folder. So let's say that we've got a few locations. So you've got at this point your species, and you've got a list of all the locations in the province where it has been identified. So let's say that Myrmica incompleta has been, for example, identified in Hope. Okay, let's just zoom in a little bit so that we can find Hope perhaps a little more easily. As we kind of zoom in, we'll see as it upgrades itself, the highway system. As a note, the sort of things that you'll probably want over on the side here, you'll want borders and labels, places. You don't want photos. I'll just turn that off. But you will want roads in order to sort of orient yourself for particular locations. And you want the places so that you can identify cities and towns and so forth. So anyway, I'll just zoom in a little bit more here. Now, Hope, of course, is right about here in the center of the screen where these highways break apart. If you zoom in more, of course, it'll pop up and tell you that that's Hope. But in order to put a place mark there, all you actually need to do is to go up to the top of the screen to where this little yellow pushpin icon is and click on that. And this does two things. It kind of brings up another little box for you to add a name to if you want to. And in the middle of your screen, it puts a pushpin. Now, because all of the locations that we're going to be indicating are of the same species, we do not need a title. And in fact, if you have titles on your pushpins, it can actually make it difficult to actually see what's going on if the map becomes too cluttered because of those place names. So what I would recommend doing here is just highlight that place name and hit backspace to delete it. Now, once you've deleted it, then simply scroll over and using your cursor, just grab a hold of the pushpin and put it in Hope, right about there. Now click OK. And voila, you've now indicated that the species is located in Hope. Now, you're going to have many other locations for most species. So you'll probably, let's say the species has also been found in Kamloops. Well, let's just get another pushpin. Let's get rid of the name again. And let's just move our push pin up to Kamloops, which I guess is up here. The end of Kamloops Lake. Let's just zoom in here and make sure we're looking at the right location. Oh, there we go. So it's been identified in Kamloops, so we're just going to put it right smack dab in the center of Kamloops, unless we've got more precise information. And then just click OK again, and there we go. We now have 2 locations for our species. Notice over here on the left, Myrmica incompleta has 2 locations embedded within its folder. Now, and actually, as I'm looking at this, it's looking as if it hasn't placed it within this folder. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm just going to make sure that it's in the Myrmica incompleta folder. So I'm not quite sure why it didn't do that already, but you'll notice now that these push pins are indented. They indicate they're within the folder. For some reason, it hadn't done that earlier. So let's see if we just zoom out a little bit. Now, let's say that we had a 3rd location, and let's imagine that that was Williams Lake. Well, that's got to be up here somewhere. Let's just move this into the center of our screen. Kind of zoom in a bit. And just see where we are here, you know, as we kind of continue to zoom in. And here we've got the 100 Mile House, so we're too far south. There's Lac La Hache coming up. Keep moving, and here we go. We've located Williams Lake here. So let's add another push pin. We'll go up here, we'll click on this icon yet again. Again, the pin opens up. We grab a hold of the title again, get rid of it, take our push pin, put it in Williams Lake where we want it to be, and click OK. So as I scroll back, you'll see that our push pins will kind of maintain a steady size so that you can see them regardless of the scale that you're looking at. So here we are, kind of zoom back to looking at most of British Columbia, or at least the central and southern British Columbia, and you can see the 3 locations that are indicated quite nicely. Now, once we've added all of the locations for the species, what we want to do next is simply save the file. So we're going to go to Myrmica incompleta, the folder, and again, right-click on the name and scroll down to where it says Save Place As. So in fact, what this really is going to do is save the folder. And we click on that, and another box comes up, and it's suggesting that we save this into My Documents, which is fine. Or we could create a folder to put them in directly, and it's called Myrmica incompleta, which is also perfectly fine. So then we just click Save, and now we're done. We have created the KMZ file, which includes all of the precise locations for this particular species in British Columbia. And at the end of the assignment, you should have 5 of these to submit. So if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask and get a little bit more help. We'll take it from there.